children, Sophia at the age of 6, Selah at the age of 3, and now Isaiah, who's 9 months old, and has seen sunshine for the very first time because they now live in Chicago. In 2005, God redirected their paths, and where Kevin serves as the children's pastor of Crossroads Church. I'm excited to hear her journey of faith. I'm excited that she's come to share it with us. Would you join me in giving a warm welcome to one of our own, Keri Sheckler?
I am very excited to be here. As Kristen said, I did graduate in 92, but my journey did begin here at Cal Baptist in 1989, and I will always think of this place as home. It was wonderful on Monday when I flew in from Chicago. I got off the airplane and I, of course, opened up my phone and turned it on, and the first thing it said was, "Welcome home," from Tiffany Hancock. And it was so wonderful just to know, I'm home. And I'm sorry I'm emotional all of a sudden at the very beginning, but it's because this is home. It's because this is where my spiritual journey with God deepened. This is where He became Lord of my life. Not just saved me from hell, but became Lord of my life. In 1990, I had the opportunity as a student to go on a service project. It wasn't called service projects then, but I was on the drama team Celebration at that time. And because at one point in life, I wanted to be famous for my own glory. I thought I would be the actor and be in Hollywood, but God began to show me that He had given me certain giftings and skills to be used for His glory and His fame. And that was so exciting for me when I was a transfer student here at Cal Baptist to know that there was a drama team that traveled and performed God's Word. And in 1990, I was able to go on that team that traveled to Australia for 4 weeks and performed God's Word in public schools and in churches. And on our way back, we stopped in Hawaii for a week and performed God's Word in prisons, on the beaches, and on a Christian dinner cruise. So in essence, Kristen, I think I did ISP and USP at the same time, Australia and Hawaii. But that was just amazing to me. It was like, wow, this is great. But when you graduate, first thing that comes to my mind is I gotta work. And thank goodness Kent Dacus said, "Hey Keri, I'll give you a job." And so I began to work here on staff in the admissions office at Cal Baptist. And in 96, I had the opportunity to help lead the drama team as a staff person to Australia. And I thought, this is great. And then, I believe it was 97, when Tiffany Hancock helped me get the US ISP going more formally. In 98, they gave me opportunity, because she don't, to help lead a team to Australia again. And I thought, wow, this is great. And what was amazing is there was a gentleman from the Commission magazine who came and followed our team and documented our whole trip and how we were serving and giving God glory in Australia and how we did it as Cal Baptist students and as staff leaders. And I remember Eric Bridges sitting down with me and saying, "Keri, what's your role in missions?" And I was like, "Oh, my role, it is wonderful. God has given me the best thing. I work, and then I get to go on a missions trip once a year. That is just perfect. Isn't that amazing?" And after that conversation, I began to think, okay, yeah, it's amazing to go on these short-term trips, but really, is there something more? And so as Kristen shared in 99, I was just getting ready to turn 30 years old, and I found myself heading overseas for 2 years to the country of Turkey. And I was like, this is it. This is what God had been purposing me for, building me up and encouraging me to do, was to serve overseas. But at the end of that 2 years, I found myself coming back to the United States and to Cal Baptist. And to be honest with you, I wondered why. I grieved having to leave a country that for me was still lost, that I had not, seen, the uprising of believers all across the country, and wondered. But I knew that God again was continuing to give me a purpose, to continue to give me a mission field, and He brought me back to Cal Baptist, and for that I'm very thankful. I had a wonderful opportunity being able to help send teams overseas and with the ISP. And I remember, I think it was also 2003, that we had our t-shirts, just as you see t-shirts all around that have yield. Every year we do t-shirts. Well, that year we had Go on the front and a map of the world on the back, and had the commissioning service, and we asked all of the ISPers to wear their shirts. And there was a group of about 4 or 5 students who decided to make their own shirts, who were not a part of ISP. And they came to the commissioning chapel with their homemade t-shirts that said, "Stay" on the front, and a map of the United States on the back. And I think back to that time, and I realize now, both of those shirts were incorrect. Because it's not about going, it's not about staying, it's not about the world, it's not about the United States. It's about making disciples. You know this verse very well, especially as a CBU student. You know Matthew 28, 19 and 20. You know the Great Commission. You know it says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations." But sadly, we put too much emphasis on the going. But the command verb, the imperative verb, is not go, it's make. Those t-shirts that year should have said make. Not go, not stay, but make. Because it's about making disciples as you are going. Not go tomorrow on an airplane and get to Alaska and Baltimore or New York. Don't hop on an airplane in a couple months and go to Southeast Asia, go to the Philippines, go to the Middle East, and then make disciples. But as you are going, make disciples. As you sit here today, as you leave the gymnasium, as you eat in the cafeteria, as you're at your sporting event, as you're at your work, as you're in the classroom, make disciples. And how do you make those disciples? You go to the verse, especially for the USP ISPers who've been camping on this verse, in Luke 9:23. "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me." And again, we have those imperative verbs, those commands. Not, if you want to do this, if you wish to do this, if you want to deny yourself, if you want to take up your cross, if you want to come follow me. No. We are commanded to make disciples. We are commanded to deny ourselves. We are commanded to take up our cross daily, and we are commanded to follow him. And how are we doing that? Some of you, we do need to, we do put things into time frames. Again, it doesn't say go for 3 weeks, go for 10 days, go for 2 years. But what are those time frames? How are we taking up our cross? How are we denying ourselves? How are we following after him? There is the short term, there's the long term. I did those short terms, and in essence, where I might say 2 years is long term, it really was just short term. But it's my life that's long term. When we left here in 2005, my husband was in seminary, and I thought, we're going to go to seminary, he's going to get his degree, and then we're going to go overseas. That's the plan. And here we are 5.5 years later, still in the Chicago area. And to be honest with you, there have been times where I have grieved and wondered, Lord, why am I not overseas? And God is so wonderful. He has reminded me, just as Jared reminded all of us this morning, that the nations are not there, but they're here. And in the last few months especially, I have had opportunity to invest into 3 ladies' lives. And I have been able to share the gospel with them. Some of their kids are coming to our church now. And just about a month ago, I went, whoa, the 3 ladies who I'm sharing life with and investing in, one is from India, one is from Haiti, and one is from Venezuela. I could not live in those 3 places at the same time. But as I live in the Chicagoland area, I have to look around, and it's not about what country are they from, what's their need, because honestly, we all need the gospel. But at the same time, God's saying, Keri, make disciples as you are going. We all have choices. We all have decisions to make. Some of you have already made decisions to go on these short-term trips, and there's some of you who have not made that decision, and next year you'll be a part of ISP, you'll be a part of USP. And then there's those of you who have gone on a short-term ISP, USP trip all 4 years, and now you're having to make more decisions too. Lord, what is it? Again, I encourage you not to put it into a box, but to be mindful that you're to make disciples as you are going. Because every day you will be following Christ, denying yourself, and taking up your cross daily and following Him. How will that look?